Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. So today I want to discuss a topic that I said I was going to discuss for a while. I know this is a little bit of a controversial topic. Now, I touched on it a little bit on TikTok, but I'm going to address some things here that I think a lot of people actually have questions about. I do want to preface this video with the fact that this does not personally display my beliefs, and I am going to get into that, but just in general, if you want to know about this topic, I know there's people who want to have answers to this, so I'm just going to go through everything that I think that I've seen a lot of people ask me on TikTok and also on Instagram. So one of the main questions I always get is, pertaining to a third party. Now, you have to understand that you are the creator of your reality. So you have to see your life as if you were writing a book and you're the author, but you're also the main character in it. And as an author myself, I can tell you that a lot of times when we create main characters, we kind of base them on ourselves. That's kind of just how it works. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but the people that I know who are authors and myself, we do like to do that, or at least pull parts from us for that particular main character. So if you are looking at it from this standpoint, you are never the third party. You're never ever the third party. It's always the other person that comes into your situation. Now, obviously, knowing that you manifested this person, it makes a lot of sense to see and say, hey, I'm not the third party, they are. What can I do to get rid of them? I've already made a video discussing on how to get rid of them. Also released some subliminal, but basically the best thing you should or could do is try to find some empathy or some sympathy for them, because again, they're just a mirror of you. So hating them is really, there's no benefit to it for you for you personally, just because you have to remember that they would not be in your life and in your person's life if you had not manifested them in. So if your subconscious wasn't open to the idea of your person dating somebody else, they would not be in that person's life. So that's why you are never the third party. They always are. But also treat them with kindness and respect from a standpoint of, if they're just a mirror of you, everything that you send out to them could potentially come back to you. I mean, it kind of depends on your belief and whether you believe in karma or not. But I think, especially if this is somebody who you have to deal with because it's maybe a baby mama or a baby daddy, but even if not, I don't think that long term you would be happy with yourself knowing that you sent something negative to somebody who at the end of the day doesn't really deserve it, because again, you manifested them into your life. So they are really not, and I don't want to say that you are to blame, but to put 100% blame on them is not really fair in this situation, because again, if you are steady enough in your self-concept, nobody can come in and take your person from you. On the other hand, if they are in a relationship with somebody else, you can go and manifest them back, obviously, because you're the one who decides how this goes. Hi, editing me here. What I realized so I wasn't sure whether my point really came across, but what I wanted to say, or what I was trying to say, and I do want to make this really, really clear, is that the more power you give the third party and your SP in terms of them coming together and them, being together, the less power you give yourself in order to manifest your person back. So you can say, the third party came in and intervened and interfered, and this has nothing to do with you or your self-concept or manifestation, but then you want to use manifestation to get your SP back and get the third party out of your life. I just want to make sure that you understand you can't have it both ways. And the less power you give the third party, the more power you find within yourself, and that's beneficial to you in the end. I just want to make sure that you understand that you seeing it this way does not give power to the third party. It gives power to you and you alone. And that's the main thing that you have to understand, that I want to convey to you, because there's no reason for you to give your power away, especially if you want to manifest your SP back and you want to manifest the third party away. Then in order to be able to understand that you have the power, you also need to take on this responsibility that comes with having that power. So I hope that made sense. And I always explain it from a standpoint of your person and this third party. They're not together by free will. They're together by the fact that your subconscious allowed for it. And one of the things that I've learned throughout my life is that the high of revenge comes with a very harsh bottom. So you might be happy right now sending them negative energy, but in the long run, you're not going to feel good about this and you're not going to be happy about it. And you may even bring that resentment into your relationship with your person once you manifested them back. So you would always benefit from making sure that you manifest something good for them, just like you would for a stranger that you don't know, that you don't feel any animosity about. I think the biggest thing about feeling animosity oftentimes comes from the fact that we feel inadequate towards the third party and we feel like we are the third party once they are in a relationship. And as long as you are in that particular mindset, you will never get rid of the third party. Or you might get rid of this particular third party, but you might get a new third party, even if you get your person back. So it's very, very important for your relationship and your personal development and you don't want to go through this again, so just use the third party that you currently have and learn how to appreciate them, learn how to love and accept them, and learn how to have empathy and sympathy for them and try to understand them in a way that will heal your issues, which in turn will actually automatically get rid of them so you can go and get your SP back. Now, there's a couple things that I have seen people ask me. One is what to do when and if they are either married or engaged, and the other one is if and this is in particular obviously when you're the female or male or whatever and they got someone else pregnant. So in terms of being married and engaged, again, the same thing as with any normal SP third party situation applies here. This is something that you allow to happen, and if they even go so far as to get engaged to this third party or get married to this third party, and this is not a level that you were at, you really need to ask yourself, like, why do I feel so much lesser than the third party that my person wanted to take this particular step with them but didn't want to do it with me? That could also come from a place of desperation. So, for example, if you are someone who feels unsafe and insecure in relationships, period, and to you, the only way to feel secure is wanting to get engaged or get married because you think that's where security comes from. And from a personal experience, I can tell you that's absolutely not where it comes from. It actually just heightens your feeling of insecurity and instability. It literally makes it 10 times worse, and whatever problems you had with them in the relationship is also going to get amplified like times a million once you guys actually get married. So just keep that in mind. And if that is an issue, again, if you then have someone else come in and it seems like they're so much happier and so much more carefree, and you are all of a sudden the one that's losing your stability and you're losing all of these like dream ideas that you had about this person, that can really amplify your feeling of not feeling good enough or feeling like you're not worthy or you're not adequate in some way. So you do need to address that first. But in this case, if you really want to not have that pain of knowing that they used to be engaged to somebody else, you can revise that. If they were married, would I recommend revising it? I mean, it's kind of up to you. I personally even feel a little bit iffy about revising engagement. But again, I told you that this is not about my personal feelings. I'm just giving you information based on the way that manifestation works, not necessarily what I personally would do in my situation. But again, you need to ask yourself, like, is this really something you want? Is this something you can get over? And I think that especially when you're in a situation like this where you're going through something painful like this, where they might have not gotten engaged to you, but they've gotten engaged to somebody else, you should use this as a learning lesson to kind of think about what do I need to work on and why do I feel the way I do. So I think this is a good stepping stone for you to think about whether this is really something that you want. And if your person went ahead and took this step with somebody else, I don't think that manifesting them back should be your very first priority. I think your very first priority should be to work on your self-concept and your ideas about relationships. And oftentimes, if this person then energetically, gets a whiff of what you're doing, they're going to come back to you regardless anyway. Okay? So if you are doing this and they're going to come back on their own, you're probably going to feel a lot more light about this. But the reason why I say this is because sometimes they might not come back immediately, but there might be like a buffer time between you fixing your self-concept and them coming back, because you might have to affirm a little bit extra for them, just based on the story that you have going between what used to happen between you guys. But there is a chance that during that time period, that buffer period, you might realize that this is not the person that you really want to be with, and that your trauma is what wanted them. And if you are getting to like coming to that conclusion, then I would recommend just letting them be with the third party anyway, because why would you want to like interfere with a relationship for a person that you are no longer interested in when you realized you want to manifest somebody else now? I think we are way too stuck on one person and one person only, when every person is just a mirror of us. And if we want a perfect relationship with that perfect person, we need to have a perfect relationship, which again, perfection doesn't exist, but you guys get what I'm saying, with ourselves first. Because if that is not given and that stability within ourselves does not exist, that relationship will never reach the stability that you want outside of what you need to do for yourself. Now, pregnancy is a whole other ballgame. If you're going through this and your person got someone pregnant, there's a couple things or a couple ways you can go about this. I am a very big advocate for the fact that if you are meeting somebody and they already have kids, or they have a kid on the way, you should be in a position where you say, this is what I want. I dated someone with a child before, and I know that I said to myself all the time that I would never put myself in this position, because I had very bad experiences growing up being that child that was brought into a different situation. And there were already like existing children prior to that. And then I still manifested that because I was in a state where I felt like I was repeating my parents' mistakes, if that makes sense. And that relationship didn't, like, it left me with a lot of damage, and I was alone for a very long time after that, just trying to work on myself. So, but at the time, I was still accepting of that situation. It was just harder for me due to the trauma that I endured as a child. So just be mindful of that. But if someone comes into your life that has children, you need to be at a point where you can say, I am ready to be a parent to these kids. Manifesting children away, again, your morals, your standards, you can do whatever you want. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Would I personally do it? Not in a million years. I would rather leave that person if I couldn't handle them having children than interfering with that relationship in any way, shape, or form, because I know how absolutely damaging it can be. If there is a current pregnancy going on because they left you for the third party, and or they like cheated on you or whatever, and they got this third party pregnant, again, I think the best way to go about it is to, again, go through your self-concept, work on your problems, really consider, is this really the relationship that you want? Is this person, and I'm not talking from a selfish standpoint, but I'm talking from is this better for everybody involved, that you guys are together versus them being with the person that they want to have this child with, okay, or that they're having this child with? Is it really worth interfering and breaking up that situation? That's the first thing you need to ask yourself. Like, do you really want to manifest this person back? Or are you realizing that maybe, because sometimes things like that happen to also protect us. So when our subconscious is basically at a point where we kind of know we don't want this person back, and it's almost like we're asking our subconscious for an out, it sometimes gives us an out in that way, depending on where your standards lie, okay? And again, I do want to say, I don't judge, okay? Whatever you want to do, you want to do. I'm just here to teach you. It's not like I don't want to judge whatever you want to do. That's fine. It's your reality. It's your life. But I'm just saying, you really need to ask yourself, or this is how I would go about it, consider like my own stance, like, is this really worth me interfering in this situation? Or was this actually my subconscious giving me the final push to say like, hey, you actually didn't really want this person, and your ego, right? Your ego was telling you the whole time, like, no, I want this just because I want it from a selfish standpoint, when in fact, deep down, you kind of knew like you were already done. Now, I know that there are other ways you can go about this. I don't feel super comfortable discussing them just because I don't want to give anybody any ideas. There's a lot of ways you can go about this, but I think if you are really at a point where you say, no, I have to have this person and they're not happy with this person anyway, because again, but that's something you affirmed then, right? If this was just a one night stand or whatever your subconscious created as a situation and your person does not want to be with them, or maybe this person doesn't even want to be with your person. Like there's, women who say, you know what, I'm having this child, but I want nothing to do with you. Then you still need to embrace this child as much as possible. And I would always affirm for this child and your partner to have a good relationship, even if the relationship is broken right now. Because again, I can tell you from personal experience, I know what it's like to be in that situation where there are broken dynamics. And you, even if it's your reality and you're the creator and you're the one who has the control, do you really want to feel like responsible in a couple years from now, knowing that you caused some child that is technically part of your family now, if this is the person who you want to be with, trauma for no reason? So you really need to ask yourself that. And if that's not something you want, then I would always affirm and try to include this child as much as possible in your guys' life and affirm for a healthy co-parenting relationship between the former third party and your current SP and yourself. That's what I would really recommend. Otherwise, if this is not a situation you can deal with, again, there are other things you could do. I don't really condone them. I know that, and there's a couple readings that I saw on my For You page too, where some people talked about karmics doing certain things so karmic would be a third party in this case, to interfere with other, people's current situation. And I just don't agree with that. Like, always ask yourself, would you want that done to you? Like, if you were in their shoes and the third party had the power to manifest for you, which again, remember, they don't, but let's say you're in the situation and the third party had control over you to manifest in your reality, would you agree with them doing something like this to you, or would you want to try and keep the situation as peaceful as possible? Bringing hate into any situation like this, whether it's an ex-partner or a baby mama or baby daddy, is not helping anybody. And again, the best outcome that you can have is creating happiness for everybody involved, because it makes it easier for yourself to allow happiness in your own situation. Because even if you're somebody who says, I don't have a problem with going out and getting revenge on the people that hurt me, again, that revenge is temporary. But are you really going to feel happy for the rest of your life knowing that there's someone else who's suffering when, let's say, you are 2 years removed from now? Like, in 2 years, is this really still gonna matter to you? And if it does, then there's a whole other problem you need to address. Because I've seen firsthand what long-term resentment can do to somebody and the damage that it can bring, and the competition that was going on between two situations that were, there were decades between what had happened, and it wasn't even that serious of a deal to begin with, but there was a lot of he said, she said involved, and that feud went on for decades, and all the kids got harmed in the process for no reason. So just keep that in mind when you are in this situation. If you are in this situation, you are the controlling party here. If you would want my advice, I would always advise you to go the most peaceful route, to go the most, comfortable route for everybody involved. And trust me, having, problems between any of y'all is not going to be the most comfortable route. And accept that your subconscious created this, your subconscious can change this, and everything that happens to you is a learning lesson to you at the end of the day. Every insult that you receive is a limiting belief. Every negative experience, you give it the meaning. Are you going to take this as a negative experience, or are you going to give it a positive meaning, or a meaning of saying, hey, this is clearly something I need to work on. Maybe I should take the time to sit down and actually work on it and really assess the situation from a rational standpoint. Again, as if you are the author of the book, how would you treat each character in the book? And how would you rationally look at it? And how would you try and make the situation have a happy ending for everybody involved? So I really hope this video helped you guys. I know I said this in every video, but I'm gonna try to upload a little bit more. The last week has just been stressful. I've been a little bit sick. I just needed a timeout, I guess. So, but that was fine. I'm currently affirming for health. So there's been a lot of stuff going like up and down, trying to balance itself. And I initially thought like my health was declining again, but I now realize that this is actually a good sign because it's balancing out. So again, you know, I'm giving it the meaning that I wanted to, and I'm gonna stick with that meaning, and I'm gonna keep going the way I've been going, and I'm already feeling better every day. So that's progress to me. So yeah, if you are in a situation like that, keep affirming, stay steady in your path, and just try and understand that you rising above this is rising above your own demons. This is not about the third party. This is not about your SP over here. This is about you and battling your demons and rising above your trauma that you did not deserve, but you have every opportunity to not carry on into further generations moving forward. I really hope this video helped you. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any comments about this video. I would definitely like to know if you have any questions. Yeah, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.